there, my name is Russ Lag, and I am the host of Big Agent Meeting today. It is Friday the 13th, and if you haven't figured it out yet, the holidays are coming. I just figured I'd get a little bit festive since this is my last show of the year, as I'm going to be taking a family trip out to India to see my brother get married in Indian fashion, which is super exciting for our family. So I'm going to be off for the next couple of weeks, out having some fun, enjoying the holidays in a foreign land. Should be interesting. Lots of adventures to be had by us, but the holiday seasons are coming. And with that being in mind, we've got a great show lined up for you guys today. Today, we're going to kick off with Holly Mabry talking about operation stuff. She's always got good stuff she's going to bring to the table today. So it's our operations minutes to talk about what's going on, what's changing, what's new. And then we're going to kick into the leadership corner with Mat Lewczenko. We're going to be talking about the Agent Attraction Toolkit. If you guys don't know about that, we're going to go over some highlights of what's in there and show you where to get that if you guys don't know where that is yet. And then, of course, we're going to go over to talk about University with Bryon Ellington. And Bryon's going to be doing the winning client segment with the one and only, the man himself, Joe Turco. If you haven't seen Joe Turco go, always fun, always interesting, and you never know what that guy's going to come up with. So great show ready lined up for you guys today. So let's kick it off with the market minute. And one of the things I want to do here, if you bear with me here, I got a little bit of a scuffed up thumb from a woodworking habit that I've got. So bear with me here as I go through here. I pulled some notes from a conversation with Leo Pareja about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. He was talking to some of the leaders in influencer leader groups. And I wanted to run through some of those metrics real quick that he used. And you guys might see some similarities with some of the things I've been talking about recently. One of the top things right off the top of the bat is Leo said, we're going to end this year at about 3 million homes sold. Now, keep in mind, remember, a normal year is about 5.3 million. So 3.8 is substantially down from what a normal year is. And then keep in mind, on top of that, going back into 2021, we were north of 7 million homes sold in 2021. So when you look at people that were doing good in 2020, 2021, going into 2022, those numbers have dropped almost 1 million and then another 1 million sales less. So here's the thing. This is perspective for a lot of you guys. A lot of you guys might be saying, well, Russ, yeah, but my business is down too. So how far is your business down? If your business is not down around 40%, then you're actually outperforming this dip in the market number of sales. So the cool part is we've got a couple of people that said, well, Russ, year over year, my sales are even. I'm pretty much exact same as I was last year. And they're frustrated because they want to take their business to the next level every year. And I totally get that. But when a market's down 40% over 2-3 years and you're even, you're outperforming the market by a mile. Being able to stay even from 2023 to 2024, you are outperforming the market by a bunch. So here's the fun part. If you can keep even when everybody else is going down, when it goes up, you're going to have your inordinate share of going up in addition to that. This is when top producing agents and even agents that are mid-level producing agents are starting to steal market share. So if you're staying even year over year, last year to this year, you're doing pretty darn good. Now, Leo did something which I haven't done. And you know what? The more he talked about it and the more I thought about it, the more I thought I can get behind these numbers. They make sense based on what the market's currently doing, based on interest rates, and based on the fact that there is more pent-up demand because less homes have sold. So demand is starting to be pent up a little bit more. Leo's expecting somewhere in the, what did he say? Somewhere in the 4.2 to 4.3 million homes sold next year, which means, keep in mind, guys, at 3.8 to 4.3, that's 500,000 more homes. So if you're staying in this market and you keep your head down, now is the time where you start taking over market share. Keep in mind, people still want to buy and sell houses. And when they don't do it like they normally do it, that's where pent-up demand comes from. So I think we're going to start seeing some of this release. This is kind of the new norm. People are going to start realizing interest rates aren't going to make a major drop down. By the way, housing prices isn't going to take a major crash down like the people have been waiting for. So with that being said, they're going to say, all right, got to get off the fence, time to do something. You can only hold out so long before you got to do something. So with that said, we're expecting a better year next year. I'm expecting a better year next year. And the great part about what we're doing is I know in EXP, while we haven't grown the overall number of EXP agents a lot this year, we've grown the quality of agents this year. We have higher per person productivity, which I love. And we also have, we've lost the people that really needed to go. The people that weren't contributing, the people that weren't doing sales. So last number I'll give you guys, and this is something Leo said public, so I'll say it public too. 73.3% of the people that EXP lost were 0 to 2 sales. And by the way, a bunch of those, I believe 64 or so percent of those, I believe he said, actually went out of the business. So it's actually a good thing, and EXP is doing a good thing right now. In a market that's way down, we're actually pretty darn solid. And when this thing goes up, we're going to see our inordinate share of getting additional sales, and you guys are taking it to the next level and taking market share. So there's your market minute for the month or for the week. Hope you guys enjoy that. Put that in your brain and enjoy it, right? It's felt really bad this year. And it's not as bad for most of us as it felt, and you've heard. So that's good news. All right, so let's jump over to brokerage operations. We've got, with brokerage operations update, we've got the one and only Holly Mabry. Come on down, Holly.
Hey, friend, how are you?
I'm doing good. Do you like my sneak attack with the jacket?
That is sweet. It's just sweet. I wish I had mine, but I don't. I went with the back in black just to have a little bit of fun on Friday the 13th. But you know what? We're living our best life, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. People always ask me, it's like, does that thing actually plug in? Because it looks pretty bright. It doesn't.
You know what? You are already a light for us, Russ. You don't need to go any brighter.
Well, thank you.
All right, friends. So Russ and I are in synchronicity this morning. And what is so great is I've been watching stats and doing projections with Leo, looking at NAR, had their forecasting summit yesterday, and doing that. And so I met with all of your brokers and state teams yesterday, and we set kind of our course for 2025, because I love a good vision casting. And if we could, Russ, I want you to stay on with me because we're going to have a little give and go. Is that okay?
Let's go. I'm ready.
Sweet.
Let's go.
All right. So jump into this. I wanted to have an opening slide of like, what do I see? What's going on? And this is what I could come up with, because it's like a 4-lane superhighway, what we're headed into. 2025 is really, I mean, we've been talking about EXP, where the pros go to grow. The number of per agent productivity continues to increase.
Yeah.
As I look at what we did in 2024 and where we're going in 2025, it's nothing but green lights. And I want to impress that upon you, because what has happened in the last year was so important. These are the stats that Russ just ran down with you. 3.8 million residential resale, about 700,000 new construction. But this is what was interesting. NAR reported 1.5 million members. We really thought that was going to drop off in January, February of this year.
Yeah.
It didn't.
Well,
when you look at the number of homes sold versus the number of agents.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Right?
Capital WOW. Wow. Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy town, especially when you go back. Russ, you and I remember 2008, 2009, 2010. We were grinding. I was doing short sales. I was doing REOs, like all of those things in my business. Yep. But to go back to 1995, I was coming out of college. And I remember going, okay, am I going to be able to get a job? What does this look like? And I got into real estate right out of radio. So that's a whole nother story. But what's so important about 2024, this is the worst year since the 90s.
Yeah.
You guys did a great job in really investing in yourselves and really taking a hold. Now, what does this mean for 2025? Okay, this Leo's predicting 4.2 to 4.3. NAR slightly ahead of that. They're really expecting a little bit higher. Leo's saying about 750,000 new home sales. NAR is a little bit more bullish, somewhere around 1 million.
Yep.
I'm going to put my money on Leo personally. It's really interesting. Now, the Fed, they're going to meet 6 to 8 times coming in the new year. Yep. What I want you all to embrace is we are in our new normal when it comes to interest rates. We're looking at stabilization right around 6.5%. Rates are not likely to fall. We want you to watch the inflation numbers and the jobs reports. Now, inflation numbers, the Fed's really trying to get to 2% inflation. We jumped in November to about 2.7%. So really kind of watch that. What we see, anybody who's been on the fence, like Russ just said, it's time to move. Yeah. It's time to get going. Like if they were waiting for the bottom, that was in September.
Yep.
They may have missed it.
So there's the script right there. If you were thinking and you were waiting and you've been waiting, guess what? You already missed that part. So now's the time to go. If you could, would you? And if they say yes, then now's the time to go. Grab their hand and give them a pull, right?
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about the year of stabilization. And I look at this, NAR is calling it the year of stabilization. That's what Dr. Lawrence Yun said yesterday. Well, it's really that opportunity of what's next. And so 6.2 million. 6.2 million is the number of households able to afford the median priced home. if the rate stays right around 6%. So 6.2 million people are out there and able to move. That's really critical for us to really go after. So we need to be asking the question. Now, the annual appreciation, we've had really great appreciation for the last few years, like wild appreciation in the last couple, thanks COVID.
Yeah.
2%. That's about where everybody thinks it's going to land for the next 2 years is 2%. So if you've got folks who are on the fence, they're worried about what it looks like to sell their house. Am I selling too early? What if my house goes up a little bit more? This is what we're seeing from the economists. Everything is kind of settling down. We're into a new normal. And the median house price is only going to go up from about 405 to 410. So we're not seeing huge gains there. And that's just something to kind of put in your back pocket. This is what was cool.
Stable's awesome, by the way.
Right? I love a good stable market. And this is the thing. For anybody who's gotten into this market from 2017 and forward, you've never seen a stable market. You've only seen a seller's market, which is bananas because these come like every 20 years. So I hope you enjoyed it. It's going to be a minute before we see another. So hotspots. This is what's going on right now. 29, almost 30% of millennials are renters who can afford to purchase as we go into this next year. And what I wanted to call out are if you are working in any of these markets, Boston, Charlotte, Grand Rapids, Greenville, South Carolina, Hartford, Middletown, Indy, Kansas City, right? Shout out to KC, Knoxville, Phoenix, Mesa, Chandler, my area. Yep. Yeah. The millennials are coming, Russ. So about 30% of them, they can afford to purchase. And also these areas are seeing a higher net migration. More folks are moving in than moving out. They're seeing faster job growth in those areas. All of that really bodes for a good economy. Now, this is also what's crazy. The interest rate is typically cheaper in these areas than in other parts of the country. I don't know why.
I was like, why?
We have to ask the wizard. Like when it comes to underwriting and lending, I just tell you what I hear and what I understand and that sort of thing. So this is what's interesting also. The typical buyer is about 38. The group of people that's moving in over the next 5 years into their mid 30s, late 30s, there are more people living in these marketplaces that are ready to buy. So let's talk about business planning, Russ. If you and I are in one of these areas, how are we dialing in our business plan? Well, I'm looking at how does my marketing reach those folks who are new home buyers looking at that move up. They're probably around $400,000 in purchase power. How do I reach them? What does it look like? How am I talking to them? What social media are they on? So I'm communicating and making myself known. The other thing is the starter home inventory in these areas is typically a little bit higher. So I want you to kind of, as you look at your 2025 business plan, what does that look like? Now, a lot of you are going to be like, Mabry, I'm so sorry. I don't live in any of those 10 hotspots. That's okay. The opportunity before you is who is in your marketplace. And this is where I love going to census.gov. Tell me what's going on in my area. I also use RPR a lot. Russ, do you use that?
Yes, absolutely. Well, that's a great tool because it's just got good context of what's going on in your market.
For sure. And so these are giveaway things. As you're starting to plan for your January, I want you to start to be that community resource. Be talking about the community, be talking about what's going on in the market, be talking about building permits, be talking about the average price per square foot, because a lot of people don't have context. Now, this is 3 things. I always love coming and saying, all right, Russ has got your market minute. I want to come and be your broker and help you build your business. And that's what my goal to do in 2025. So 3 keys, seize your next. I want you to dial in your unique competitive advantage. So the first thing, we're going to explain the process always. I haven't even met you yet, and I want to explain how to buy a house. I want to explain how I get paid. I want to explain the paperwork, choosing a great home inspector. What does it mean if you put earnest money down? I want to talk about contingencies and protecting you and your family. I'm going to do that in my social media. I'm going to do that in my newsletter. I'm going to do that at every turn, just dropping nuggets, right? We've all heard that term peddling and giving somebody something of value. Like I'm going to send Russ a meme because I was thinking about him and it totally reminded me of his jacket. Guys, do that with your clients. Do it with your past, present, and future. Follow through, follow up. I was talking with a really good friend this week who had the opportunity to buy a house, and the agent she worked with was like, oh yeah, I'll get right on that. 3 weeks later, would call her back about the house. House was gone. Currently, that person's in the market for a house.
Yep.
And the buyer broker that they signed, she calls the buyer or the agent and says, hey, I really want to go see this house this afternoon. And, or I can see it tomorrow at 3 or the next day at 4. Mm-hmm. Agent calls back and says, yeah, I can't do any of that. Or doesn't call back. Hey, we'd like to see houses this week. And these are the 3 we're looking at. Calls back Sunday night. Yeah, I'm not available. Yeesh. Guys, this is what I will say. We're headed into a market that is nothing but relationships and professionalism.
Agreed.
Set those expectations of what it looks like to work with you in following up. And if you're too busy, that's cool. I want you to be so busy that I want you to bring people with you and help people understand who you're working with. Don't leave anybody behind, because they'll remember it, and they'll remember it for a long time. See, my friend who bought that property a couple of years ago is not going back to the original agent because they took too long. They closed the deal, but now going back to the second agent who is probably going to get fired this weekend. So when you start to look at how we work, I want to embolden you, dial in your competitive advantage. And part of that is just calling people back.
Show up.
Ask for the business. This is the perfect time of year to say gratitude to the folks that you got to serve. Follow up with them, say thank you, and then ask, hey, I loved working with your family so much. Who do you know that I could work with and take care of? Because it was such an honor to treat you guys. I would love to earn the business of somebody just like you.
Yep.
The more we do that going into 2025 as a professional makes all the difference. Russ, this is what I got. What do you think?
This is just straight down the pipe, right? Exactly what everybody needs to hear. That's why we're on the same page. It's like, you got to know your numbers. You got to know your stats. You got to get real individual with your individual markets. Because some of you guys might be saying, well, Russ, that's not my market. Good. Okay, cool. Well, glad you know that. And you got to start telling people what's going on, because if you're not that resource, you're not their expert. You need to be the one making sure they know what's going on, so you become their expert. And that's a big part of this relationship thing.
Can I ask you a favor? So behind you, you've got the exptoolkit.com/growth. Would you underneath that put exptoolkit.com/sellers? The reason I'm putting this out here there, guys, is I want you to start to pregame what your future is looking like. And so if you're not sure where to start, we've done the lift for you. We've got a buyer and seller toolkit that is online and available. You need access to forms. You want to go through additional training, anything you need to be better prepared for next year, we've got you. So don't do the lift on your own. We've got your back. That's what we're here for. Russ, have an amazing holidays. Safe journey to India. Guys, I will see you next week. More good stuff. I appreciate you.
Always the best. See ya. All right, there you go. Holly Mabry always bringing the fire. It's funny because we did not coordinate what we were talking about today, and we're talking about the same thing, because it's super important at the end of the year. You got to know what you're doing. By the way, you're going into the holiday season. You're sitting down at a party, and people are like, how's the market? Boom. Now you've got a bunch of cannon fodder to ready to rock and roll when somebody asks you, how's the market at the holiday party? All right. So there you go. All right. So next up, we have Leadership Corner. We have Leadership Corner with Mat Lewczenko. Mat Lewczenko is our Regional Director of Growth, and he's got a couple of states under him. Matt works directly with and for me. I'm super, super proud of what he's done and what he's doing already in our team. So Matt, come on down, brother.
Hey. Russ, I had another jacket shirt ready to go, and I wasn't sure that this was the call, and yet missed opportunity.
You know, it was kind of funny because nobody mentioned the fact that I wasn't wearing a shirt, tie, and a vest in the green room. And then as soon as we went to the main, I'm like, throw the jacket on. I'm like, here we go, let's do this.
Well, I brought the lights. I got lights here, so we're festive enough. So throw it to come in here.
I like to do this to mess with Randy, so that's what I do.
Excellent.
All right, so Matt, man, we've got some great stuff going on. Number one, I want to say how proud I am of you and the team that we have. It's just, you've done such a good job. You're digging in, you're getting after it. I'm getting feedback like, this Matt guy's great. So I just want to say in front of everybody else, congratulations. Thanks for doing a great job. Thanks for doing exactly what I expected you to do, which is knock it all the way out of the park.
It's easy to show up whenever you've got such an incredible company and a team that you get to just represent and support. This is fun. This is a blast.
Yeah,
So,
it's
thank
fun
you again for the opportunity. Yeah,
you're welcome, man. It's fun to be on a team that wins.
Yeah, heck yeah.
It's pretty cool. So with that being said, one of the things I want to chat with you briefly about today is the EXP toolkit. So I've got the website for it above here. exptoolkit.com/growth. And I know you've been running through that thing front to back. You will see a couple places in there where I've had to touch on it because
it's the Rust toolkit with a couple other guest speakers.
So
it's so fun.
One of the things that I love is Lynn Miller was instrumental in making this thing roll. So a big shout out to Lynn Miller in the marketing department. We actually said in front of Leo Pareja and Glenn Sanford and Wendy Forsyth on Wednesday, we did a growth mastermind just together with just the growth team, top of the growth team. And we're sitting there. It's like, this toolkit is phenomenal. And Lynn Miller has just knocked it out of the park. She's our favorite person in the world. She just does such a great job of making this happen. So what's in the toolkit?
So this is beautiful. When I go around, when we talk about attraction, when we ask the agents, what are some of the biggest obstacles for you to jump in and participate in this amazing opportunity? I get a lot of the same objections. It's number one, like, I don't know where to start. I don't feel like I'm an expert. I don't know what to say, who to say it to. How do I even track it? Like, to create a system. And what I love most about this toolkit is from the moment you click in at the very top, all of the main objections that most agents have to even begin to start with agent attraction are all outlined at the top. Like, what type of attractor are you? How do you want to get started? Do you even understand rev share? We take so much of the guesswork out of the way, because what I've discovered, and I've heard this said many times, is a confused mind takes no actions. This toolkit takes so much out of the questions out of the process by just going through, watching some of the videos and understanding it. Now you start to create some confidence around even getting into the conversation. So it takes so much out of the guesswork with attraction and growth.
It's amazing. Most of the time when you get into these types of things and work through this, it's like, well, this is what I really want to look at. And this is really what I want to talk about. And this is what I really need. And this literally starts off at the top. So like, what do you need? Click on that. And if you don't know what you need, let's talk about what type of tractor you are first. And we've got a couple different categories. And you're like, now based on that, here's what you probably need to move forward. So it's kind of like a recipe book. You're like, hey dude, what do you want to eat tonight? I feel like chicken tonight, baby. Let's go. So go flip right to the chicken section, because that's where all the chicken recipes are. It really is that easy.
Yeah. I love that there's also like a cheat code to the entire thing. And it's just a prime example of the investment and the forward thinking of our company to start taking such a powerful offense now in growth. Here's what's really exciting is, and you talked about this, the market's the market and the industry is the industry. And it's been a challenge to for everybody. However, the vision that we see around growth right now and coming to support and help right now the agents and the teams that are struggling out in other companies and brands that aren't talking about it, that the companies invested in our group. And what I love, I'm looking at the app here and getting to scroll down to the bottom to the map, and says, if you've got a team and you've got a group and you want help, we're here. Like, the bench of killers is here. Press the button, fill out the discovery form, and let's go. We're here to take the heavy lifting off of your plate and assist you and partner with you in growth. That's been the coolest and the most exciting part is seeing all of the requests and the chats to come in and get into these powerful conversations with broker owners and team leaders. Because if an agent was doing good in 2024 and they're struggling right now, the people that are hurting the worst are the ones that are in charge and are leading, and many of them are bleeding just trying to keep the doors open because they care so much about their agents. The biggest opportunity that we have right now is with these larger teams and brokerages, and we're seeing it every single day by 20, 30, 50, 60 agents at a time coming over in groups. And that's the story that I believe we need to continue to tell.
All right. So we could rename this and put a vanity plate on this and be like growthteamsgotyourback.com. That's us.
We got you.com/growth.
We got you. So the fun part is jump in there, take a quick look around, and you're going to see some things that are interesting. I love some of the script battle parts that are in there too. It was just classic right out of EXP a couple weeks ago. EXP kind of script battles with here's what people are actually saying back and forth is like, but what if they ask me this, Matt? What if I could go on in there? They got a bunch of really great stuff going back and forth.
Those guys are so good.
Find your flavor, find your style. Here's the coolest part. You don't have to be like me. You don't have to be like Matt. Find your way, find your vibe, build your tribe. That's what it's all about. And we'll help you build it your way. You don't have to be Matt. You just have to be the best you that you can be. And that's what he's going to help you do. Good stuff, man. Anything else you want to add before we go?
Listen, I'm just, again, get in there, look around, watch a video. Like even going through these holidays, just set a goal to watch 1 or 2 of these videos, watch 1 or 2 of the objection handler videos. So you just kind of unlock that hesitancy and go, you know what? There are several people that like deserve to hear from me. Let me reach out to them and then get us involved. Let us come in there alongside you and really help change someone's life.
You are not alone. All right, Matt, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it as always. I will see you in meetings later. Have a good one. All right, there you go. Mat Lewczenko with his Firecracker 500. This guy's getting after it. How would you like to have him help you close a couple? That's what the growth team is there for. So make sure you find out who your people are in your state. And by the way, at the very bottom, there's a map that tells you who the person is that should be helping out in your state. Reach out to them and say, hey, you know what? I want to put my hand up and say, I want to do better in 2025 on this. That's what they're there for, to help you. Every state has somebody designated for them. So find out who your person is. We'll help you guys take your attraction to the next level in 2025. All right. University Spotlight coming up next. We've got the one and only Bryon Ellington. Come on down, Bryon Ellington. What are you doing?
Hey, man. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I feel like I'm all lit up, and I'm not in a bad way.
Dude, you look like my Christmas tree out there. That's amazing. I love it.
Look like a Christmas tree threw up on me.
In the best possible way, friend. Hey, you know, I'm listening to Holly and I'm listening to Matt, and they're giving us great stuff to help us go out there and talk to people, both about real estate conversations and also about attraction. And, you know, I spend my time thinking both about the external things that are going to drive us to go do the things that we want to do, right? I don't know what to say. Okay, great. Scripts. I don't know what value to bring. Okay, great. We can help with that. But then there's the internal things. Are you familiar with the concept of the theory of mind?
Theory of mind. That is a first. Never heard those words, and that conglomeration.
So yeah, and I heard about it first from a book called Grooming Gossip and the Evolution of Language by Robin Dunbar. And then I also read, I think it was Daniel Dennett's Consciousness Explained, right? Huh. And here's what theory of mind is. It's essentially our ability to understand that other people have their own thoughts, beliefs, desires, and intentions. There's a word sonder, which is like the sudden realization that others around you have this idea. But it's really a good thing. It allows us to act with empathy, sympathy, and understanding, right? Here's how Daniel Dennett explains it, essentially, is I know what I'm thinking. That's the first order. I know what you're thinking, second order. I know what you're thinking, I'm thinking, third order. I know what you're thinking, I'm thinking, you're thinking, so on and so forth. And most of us can only go to about 5 or 6 orders of intentionality is what that's called, right? Now, again, this is a good thing. It makes us be good social animals. You might refer to this as emotional intelligence. Theory of mind is definitely part of that.
Love it.
But it hinders us. It hinders us because we make false assumptions. And here's the thing. We do this, and I wish I knew how to turn it off. Right? I wish I knew how to turn it off. I'd be a gazillionaire if I did. But here's the thing. You can decide what you want people to think about you and act like that.
Yes.
You can decide what you want people to think about you and act like they do. Now, there's people out there that heard me say that and go, I don't know, dude, that sounds real new agey, sounds a little woo-woo. Okay, maybe it does, but let me just tell you, you're already doing it.
Yes.
You're already doing it. The thing of it is,
yourself doing it.
That's right. You're making the puppets in your head say negative things.
Yes.
And again, I don't know how to turn that off, but what I do know is this. If you do have that negative puppet in your head going off, fine, let that go. Then take a moment to make that puppet say great things about you and act like that's true, and then get after it. Now, we can also help you in the university. And listen, you're not going to get better results until you become better at your craft.
Agreed.
So a few things for you coming up. First thing I got to tell you, January 8th, FastCAP is filled up. I always want to say sold out, but FastCAP is there's no charge to it. But the January 8th session is filled up. So January 29th, though, we announced on BAM a couple of weeks ago, Austin Cheviron is going to do FastCAP for us. Austin Cheviron and his cousin Nate run one of the top 10 teams in EXP. They also run Cheviron Coaching, and they're going to do FastCAP for us. Full 6 weeks. These guys are beasts. I've been spending the past several weeks with Austin going through, getting ready for this, and I'm excited for it. The FastCAP numbers are amazing. Average is 4.1 appointments, 2.0 agreements in the 6 week period. The people who are doing just the bare minimum are getting 6.9 appointments, 3.8 agreements in the 6 week period. I've told my team, you guys need to be ready for Austin and Nate to blow that out of the water. So that's open. You can go to expuniversity.com and sign up for that. Also coming up on Monday, a few really cool things. Our friend Michael Collier on Monday is going to do a level up, the art of building relationships. This is going to be really cool. And this guy is a master of it. Then on Wednesday, we've got Renee Rodriguez is going to come into Team Masteries Neuroscience of Leadership. Now, this is team leaders only. This is team leaders only. So this was his past one that just happened yesterday, which, by the way, that is amazing. We will post that in the workplace group. But on Wednesday, team leaders, if you go to the team leader only workplace group for you, you'll find the registration for the Team Mastery call. That is 1 p.m. Eastern with Renee Rodriguez, Neuroscience of Leadership. I'm excited about that one. Then on Thursday, our friend Brandon Brittingham, investor extraordinaire, he's kicking off the Expand Investing series. So we have him going for an hour. This is free. It's open to everybody. If you're sitting there thinking, well, I would invest in real estate, but I don't have the money, friends, you do. Make sure that you're there because Brandon's going to answer that question for you. Then on Thursday, we have Kendall Bonner, our VP of Industry Relations, doing excuses versus execution. The cost of excuses. You're telling yourself, this is going to be a fun one. I know Kendall's going to rock this one. And then Friday, I'm dropping the lab that I did with David Robio and Jake Nicole. They gave me some amazing stuff on lead generation strategies for you. Man, you should check this one out. This will drop next Friday, and it'll be here on our YouTube channel. And then Friday, we have Andy Gressinger joining us to talk all things luxury on Big Agent Meetings. So stay tuned for that. That'll be fun. And then today, we have our Bostonian friend, Mr. Joe Turco, joining us, and we're going to talk about open houses. Can we come back in a little while and hand it back over to you, Russ?
Absolutely. Take it away, guys. I'll see you in a couple minutes.
All right. Thanks. Joe, are you here with me? Hey, bud. How are you?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Doing great, thanks. Hey, thanks for being here. So, Joe, I want to get to open houses, but for folks not familiar with you, would you mind just sharing a little bit about your background and how you came into real estate and what you've done since then?
Absolutely. So I came to real estate via the corporate footwear world. I worked for some brands that you guys probably all recognize and probably wear and have a couple pairs of each, and did a lot of work overseas and internationally, and then came back and got into real estate and really wanted to kind of take all of those experiences, all of those processes, all of those ways of thinking, and apply them in a new, fun way, as well as show them to others that, let's be honest, weren't potentially exposed to those type of experiences that I was, and show them just like, hey, here's some of the biggest companies in the world. Here's some of the strategies that they use, and here's how they can be applied to real estate. And a lot of them are simpler than you would think, because simple means it doesn't break.
Yeah, that's right. We complicate enough things in our lives. We don't need anything more complicated. So I'm kind of curious because you and I had a great conversation, and you approached open houses different from anybody else that I've actually talked to about open houses. And so I'm going to start with, for you, what makes an open house truly successful? I mean, beyond people walking in the door, what really makes an open house successful?
To me, the open house being successful means you have, as the agent, stuck to 3 commitments. The first is to host an experience. That is for everyone that walks through the door, whether they're a neighbor, whether they're a nosy person, whether they're a potential client, potential seller, a potential buyer, whether they're just anybody, whoever it is, your main focus. This is your main job, guys. Like, you have no other thing. Your phone should never be in your hand. This is what you should be doing. Hosting an experience. The second thing, and it's just as important, if you're not actively hosting an experience for a person, to have it be a successful open house, you need to be using that time efficiently and effectively to produce more business. And we can talk about that in a second. And then the last thing is, you have to be creating content. You have to be using that opportunity, because I like to call open houses, to all my agent partners, those are our office hours. You need to be creating content in this new environment, with permission, of course, to, again, further a couple things. 1, the experience of your current clients, the experience and exposure to potential new clients, and 3, to help get that listing sold, whether it's yours or someone else's. So to really have it be an all-encompassing, successful open house, number 1 priority, you have to host an experience. You have to have it be where it is memorable. Where if,
and what does that look like for you, Joe?
I mean, it's being different. Like, anyone that's had a conversation with me or talked to me will most often say, okay, yeah, that's a memorable person. You know, positive or negative, that depends on the conversation. You know, let's be honest. But that's the thing, is if you're walking into an open house and you see an agent on the phone that kind of waves to you, oh, yeah, go sign in over there. That's not a positive experience. Yeah. But what if you walk into an open house and everything's organized, that the sign-in process is easier than you expected, that the information was readily available? If there was simple things like fresh cut flowers, because it makes a difference, especially in like luxury markets. Or if when they're walking around the open house, they're seeing things that are actually interesting, that are actually geared towards what they're doing. Well, most people would be like, okay, well, what could that be, Joe? Well, what if it was just something as simple as QR codes in frames, where you have 5 or 6 of these? And when I say 5 or 6, I'm not joking. I can keep going. I put them all around the house. Now, that's a bit of an experience, because you're actually being advertised to. And
curious, what are those QR codes pointing to, by the way?
Oh, so these, where I want to find hidden sellers, because most people don't realize, well, you don't start by calling real estate agents saying, I want to list my house. Everybody starts by looking at where they want to go. And that sometimes means that they're going to open houses, which means they're not just a buyer, they're also a seller. So they're potentially multiple transactions. And even if they're out of area, that's a potential referral. There's so many people that just focus on the wrong things and not opening the door to opportunity. So with this, we have so many of them spread throughout the house in places like the primary bedroom, the kitchen, the living room, one of the bathrooms. Why? Well, when that real estate agent isn't hovering over their shoulder, which they never should be, they have a private moment and it just says, did you know? It's a curiosity play, and it flushes out those hidden sellers and those hidden opportunities. And all it goes to is a landing page which EXP provides a lot of different resources on how to create one of those, makes the setup easy, makes it where it can go straight into a CRM like KV Core, or if you use a different one, it's an easy process to create. But again, it goes back to that experience. And then the other thing is on the televisions in all the different rooms, if they are connected to Wi-Fi or they're smart TVs, I put up my branding. So what does that mean? I run my own YouTube channel, or I have videos of me doing advertising with local celebrities. And I have those running on loops on the different TVs. So again, it's an experience. You walk in and it's almost like an amusement park. You know, at an amusement park that there's going to be marketing for you, that there's going to be advertising, but there's also going to be the fun things that you were looking forward to, like seeing the pretty house, getting all the information that you wanted, and hopefully meeting this really engaging agent that wants to focus on you and earn your business.
Okay, I get that. And you and I had a conversation about the flowers, and I thought that was an interesting thing. Do you want to tell them about how you get flowers into the home?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like, if we're using all of these resources, if we're doing open houses and we're using them almost like office hours, which we can talk a little bit more about later in the segment.
Yeah.
What we also want to think about is like, okay, well, are we overlaying it with kind of like geographical farming? Are we trying to do those open houses in a specific area so people are constantly seeing us? Well, absolutely. That's the smart way to do things, because the more people see you, the more chances they have to interact with you, the more chances you have to earn their business. Well, the same applies to partnering with other local businesses. Now, Bryon, when do you think you buy the most flowers? On a weekday or on a weekend?
My wife's birthday.
Okay. Which
whatever day of the week that is.
On a weekend, right?
Yeah, probably a weekend.
Right. Well, and that's when they have the highest traffic. And when do we have a lot of open houses?
Yeah, on the weekend.
On the weekend. So if you're consistently doing open houses in the same area and you start building a relationship with a small business like a florist, and you stop in and you just say, hey, I would love for you to create just a nice bouquet with whatever you have for $20. Any extras, any quote unquote scraps, anything that's just going to look like a nice bouquet, you have free creative control. I just want to spend $20. Are they happy to do that? Absolutely. And if you're consistent with that, well, they get to know you. And eventually it's the easy play of they're going to ask you, why are you always buying these flowers? And it's, oh, well, I own a real estate business and I always want fresh flowers for my clients, for my open houses. I always want to put on the best thing. And, they're going to chat with you about it. And then you just say, hey, since I'm going to be coming here every time anyways, would you be opposed to if on those days I left you a flyer and you just put it out for the day and maybe, had a little help? And, I can also, when people ask, tell people where I got the beautiful flowers. Would that be something that would be a win-win for both of us? You'd be shocked how easy it is. It doesn't cost you anything. And it's building that local partnership with another business who, guess who they're going to recommend? Who's going to be top of mind? Well, you, especially if you're doing more than one open house per week. And guys, little foreshadowing, you want to do more than one a week.
Yeah. Well, let's go there. And did you have anything else that you think we should really kind of consider about experience, or do you want to talk about the going to multiples?
Let's talk about the experience. So in my opinion, when someone walks in the door, they should never see you on your phone. Okay. You should never be taking a phone call. You should never be doing anything but fully engaged. The other thing is if it's going to be an experience, you have to make it a positive experience. So it has to be where you're thinking about, okay, what are the potential needs that these people are going to have? Now, if you're holding an open house, let's say in a condo tower, I'm here in Boston, so we have a lot of buildings. I know that's not everyone in the country, but it's still an easy example. And you're the only open house, but maybe there's 4 units for sale in the building.
Okay.
Would it stand to reason that if you're hosting an experience that you want to provide value to them, that you might schedule appointments for after the open house in that same building? And you can say, hey, you know what? It seems like you really like this, but I'm sure you want to compare this one to the other options. If you're not obligated to another agent, would you like me to show you the other units? I already have appointments for those units right at the end of the open house.
That's smart on 2 levels. Number one, it just shows what an expert and what a prepared individual you are as an agent to them. The other thing is, man, that helps you create great relationships with the other listing agents in your area. So that's really smart. I like that.
And then here's the other thing, and it ties right into that, is hosting the experience means knowing what to say and what your goal is. So my goal when I'm hosting this experience is for the people to feel comfortable enough to, on the spot, commit to a second appointment. And I think that's one of the things that most agents, they get too nervous about. They think it's pushy. They think it's scary. Whereas me, I don't want to follow up with you a day later, a week later, and try and get another appointment. If I feel like I'm having a good experience and the other person is too, I want to send them a calendar invite for our next appointment while they're there. So I can say, okay, great. Did you get the calendar invite? Is it confirmed?
That's great. Well, like I said earlier with Russ, make those puppets in your head say nice things. And as long as you're phrasing it in terms of benefits to them, instead of, heavy breath, sweaty palmed, groveling and begging, they're not going to say, no, you jerk. The worst they're going to say is, I don't have the time, or maybe some other time, things of that nature. So again, make your puppets be nice. So when you're doing this, when you're talking to these folks about the other appointments, how are you then translating, maybe they do have the time, maybe they don't have the time. How do you then translate that into a future client post the open house?
Well, that's the thing. So let's say, for example, they're like, okay, yes, I'm definitely, interested in that. Well, then it's okay. Well, we have had some changes in our industry. I can't just show you the other property. What I need to do is, and I have them here for you, is fill out single property agreements regarding them. So I'm going to sit down with you for a few minutes, even here at the open house, and we can go over them. And then at the end, if you feel comfortable, you can sign them, and then I will be able to show you that. And guess what? That counts as your second appointment. You've just had your second appointment because you're no longer in the open house. That second appointment is that showing. And you're doing what you're supposed to in our new environment. You've gotten that single property showing. Again, my suggestion, my experience, do not push for the full buyer agreement. Just rely on building the relationship with the single property one. And then after that, it's simple, because all you're doing is what you would normally do with a regular client. Hey, gut reaction. What are the pros and cons? How does this one compare to the other? Well, I'll tell you what, why don't I do this? Why don't I do a CMA breaking down all of the different aspects, the pricing, the pros and cons, and I follow up with that for you tomorrow. We can set another appointment to review it. Do we see a pattern?
Yeah, you're giving yourself other bites at the apple, right? And you're allowing that rapport to naturally build by just providing value. And do you do a buyer's consultation formally, or are you just using those kinds of opportunities to just sort of do it along the way?
So it's where if it's a person met at an open house that wants to see another property right after, we're doing it basically along the way conversationally. But what I do afterward is I send a recap email as well as in that email saying, here's a couple things that we weren't able to go over that I want you to be aware of. And I'd like to set aside some time to kind of go more in depth to make sure that you don't have any questions regarding it. Because to me, it's always that trust but verify. Trust that they understood what was being spoken to, and trust that they were being attentive to it, but verify. Because then I know I'm covered. I know that they're potentially going to look back and be like, wow, like this person's a professional. They know what they're doing, and they're ensuring that my needs are met. And it's just, again, another appointment where the further down this path we get, the less likely it is for there to be any type of, one, hiccups because things are thoroughly explained, and two, any type of miscommunication or friction with that client, because again, we're making sure that, you know, we trust that they understand, but we're verifying. And then for the people that went the other path and were like, oh no, you know, I don't have time for it. I can't do that. I'm not going to commit to a second appointment. Well, it goes into that full circle of what we started the conversation with. And it's that second thing that we do at open houses is we do text-based follow-up. So if we're hosting an experience, but no one's there, well, our second job is to do text-based follow-up, where it may be a text message, it may be an email, it may be a social media message, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you know, the list goes on. But as long as you're just following up and that is part of your office hours, part of your routine, there's no bad open house, because even if nobody comes, you've spent 2 hours following up with people, and then that third one creating content. So what you're doing is you're consolidating your time into efficient office hours. I'm sure most people remember college. Their college professors were not sitting in their office for office hours, you know, staring at the clock, just waiting and hoping, oh my God, I hope somebody comes in with a question. Yeah. We don't do that either. We sit down and we work in a way that we can set it aside when someone walks through and give them the best experience, just like those college professors have done, just like so many others do. And that's how, again, we're making our business overall more efficient. Because, like, Bryon, let me ask you a question. How many agents spend a significant time doing active prospecting or active follow-up with either clients or leads or opportunities?
Not enough, friend. Not enough.
Right. Not enough. Now, imagine in a crazy world, and I know people are going to just be like, oh my God, I can't do that. What if we did 5 open houses a week? What if they, on average, were 2 hours, and we committed to hosting an experience, doing the text-based follow-up, and creating the content? 3 of the major pillars in our business, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's 10 hours a week of our office hours where we're getting that done. Do you think that's going to be more than the typical agent?
Unfortunately, that is. Yeah, unfortunately, that is. And what an interesting way to spend your time lead generating instead of just doing it at a desk at home or wherever. Yeah, I like that. So you're doing about 5 a week. Is there a particular time of day or days in particular that you try to do these?
So absolutely. And this is where a lot of people are going to be like, oh, wow, that's interesting. Nobody does that here. And what I want to preface this with is, that's perfect. Like, that's exactly what you want. You want it to be where you have no competition. You want to be in that blue ocean, just swimming. So I love Wednesday evening commuter open houses. Now, What time would that be? Well, Wednesday, 5 or 5:30 to 7 or 7:30. Now, Bryon, let me ask you a question. And we're going to get a little personal for a second.
Please.
Do you have kids?
4 of them.
4. I have 2.
Want one of mine? We can be even.
Well, I mean, maybe. I mean, we'll see. But is it where it's easier for you to coordinate a babysitter or someone watching the kids, or, you know, availability on a Wednesday night or on a weekend.
When they're out partying with their friends and having fun and want to go see movies and all that, yeah, of course, it's going to be far easier during the week.
So you're saying if you hold an open house at a time where there's more opportunity for parents or doctors that work on the weekend or people that travel on the weekend, it's easier for them to have access?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow,
Absolutely.
That's crazy. So like that's one of them is Wednesday evening commuters. The next is Friday afternoons. What's the biggest day of the week that has the most holidays, the most reason for you to skip out from lunch on or take a half day or just not going at all?
Yeah,
Fridays.
it's Friday. Yeah.
Okay, so do an open house from, 11:30 to 2. If nobody comes, guess what? It's midday. You can still pop out in the afternoon, pick up your kids, show clients, go to soccer practice. You had your office hours. You did all the things that during that time you were productive. Now me, I was always a big proponent of 2 open houses on Saturdays, one early morning, because again, why not? The people that want it will go to it. The people that don't. If nobody comes, it's office hours. And then one right immediately after. So I usually do like 10 to noon and then like 12:30 to 2:30. Now, Bryon, if you're done with an open house at 2:30, do you have opportunities to show other houses after that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or
Absolutely.
if you choose not to do that, could you spend time with your family?
Even better, right?
Right. And then you just pick one on Sunday and there you go. You got your 5, you got your 10 hours.
And isn't that funny? Because I bet as you talked about the time to produce, and I bet people were thinking, well, who would I call? And this goes to the heart of the misconception about open houses, which I think you're really doing a great job of clearing up. The misconception is that somebody's going to walk through the front door with a suitcase full of money and say, I'll take it.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great cocktail story when it happens, but that doesn't happen very often, friends. And that's it's not why you do an open house. And if you're wondering, well, how am I going to get people to come to my open house? That's where circle prospecting comes in. That's where all the promotion ahead of time comes in. And even if nobody comes to the open house, if you're doing that pre-work of lead generation around it, and also taking the time, as you say, to treat it like office hours and get busy, man, that's where the real gold is. And if you can take the time to also create the content like you're talking about, your client's not going to be unhappy about the results of, some list of names, registrations from the open house. They're going to know that you're doing your job, getting the word out. I love that.
Here's the crazy thing. Is perception not reality?
Absolutely, it is.
So if you're advertising 5 different open houses a week, most weeks, are your friends, is the general public, are people in general, because they can see that you're advertising those different open houses, are they going to assume that you're a busy agent that does business?
Yeah, absolutely.
Does it become a self-fulfilling prophecy where because people see you doing the actions that they want to hire someone for, that they then hire you?
Yeah. Absolutely, it does. That's right. And if you're wondering at home, I don't have an inventory of listings. We do. eXp Realty and our agents in your metro do have that. So reach out to them, ask them if you can hold them open on those off times where they won't want to hold them open themselves. It lets them show their clients how they're active for you too. Joe, thank you so much. There's a master class in the making, and I'd love to have you come on some of our other shows and do an entire open house thing, because you are a gold mine of ideas around it. Thanks for coming on and sharing with us, man. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, man. See y'all later.
All right. Happy Friday. All right, Russ, back to you, friend.
And check that out. The guy delivered. He delivered exactly like he said he would in the green room. That's just like the mindset behind why he does it too. It's like, he's not just saying, just do this. It's like, do this, and here's why. Like, can you imagine the perception of and what that does? Mind blown. I love the way he rolls. I love the way he rolls.
That's why he's successful, man. Absolutely. All right, friend. Happy Friday to you. Thanks for letting me come play.
Happy Friday. Thanks for coming out. All right, there you go. There's the big agent meeting for Friday the 13th. See, that went fine, right? And if you guys are wondering, yes, no shirt and tie today. This is a quick promo. The Attraction Advantage podcast, Frank Panunto, my counterpart on the East Coast, and I have started a podcast. It's going to be going live right around mid-January. So talking about attraction, interviewing people. We have 10 podcasts already recorded. We're going to be getting rocking and rolling on that. So we're going to be out there helping put good stuff in your head so you can make that easier too. So with that said, last but not least, we have the KGCI Radio. Quick promo for KGCI Radio. If you haven't already joined hundreds of real estate pros, downloaded KGCI Real Estate On Air mobile app yet, please do that. It's always free. The app works great on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Bring real estate business building strategy straight to your vehicle's infotainment system or to your headphones on the go or when you're working out. Scan the QR code and download KGCI Real Estate On Air mobile app and subscribe on your local podcast. I was listening to that the other day, by the way, and I was totally digging it. Great show they had on, and I actually learned something there too while I was taking a long walk. And last but not least, QR code. Let us know how we did today. Hey, throw in some comments about my jacket. Do you like it? Do you love it? On a scale of 1 to 10, how did we do today, guys? Give us a good, fair rating. Let us know how we do so we can always make sure we're striving to improve the show every single week. And with that said, stay tuned. Coming up soon, iConversations. Have a happy holidays. I'll see you guys on the other side.